Nazis are back. What are you thankful for, and what are you most looking forward to next year? Vis-a-vis just, it's been a rough year. Listen, it's been nice for people's equity portfolios, of course. But it's really, what do you hope for America, for humanity, for yourselves, for your family, for your friends? What are you thankful for? I'll let you, Friedberg. It looks like your processing unit has delivered a result, so let's hear it.
The emotion bank has been cleared. I don't think that this year was any cup of tea for anyone. So I think, like everyone, you kind of value your friendships and your family. So it's been a year. Going into COVID, I was in the office every day, spending more time at home, being closer to my children. I know their names, by the way, Sax. I'll teach you how to learn them. It's been actually really special being at home a lot and being with the family a lot, and realizing like how much that stuff matters and how being close to everyone matters. Because when you're in the run of the life before you kind of get knocked back and just put everything in perspective, you miss those moments. So that's been really special and important to me this year in a really kind of personal way. And just having friendships, right? I mean, it's great for us to all be able to talk as we do every day and have people you can kind of connect with, even if you're not sitting in person. I do think that everyone realizes they need that. So anyway, it's been an insightful year. Money
Sax?
Aside, I was fucking terrorized at the start of this year about money, and the end of the year,
here you go. Finally,
there it is. It's all a fucking roller coaster.
Sold the first company, and now you got the second one IPO. And congratulations, Mazel. Sax, has your processing unit overloaded with this question, or are you going to be able to articulate something you're thankful for and appreciate?
I agree with all the things that Friedberg said. The flip side of working from home all this time is you do get to spend a lot more time with the kids. I personally I like this shift to remote work where I can do a meeting from anywhere. You don't have to go to the office. That's been kind of nice upside, I think. I think we probably all learned how self-sufficient we can be. I have learned how to give myself a haircut. Apparently you guys don't think I've done a very good job with it, but well,
it's better than you having long hair. Yeah.
So, yeah, but look, I mean, I'm thankful for, knock on wood, we all have our health, and, weirdly, the economy of Silicon Valley is still doing great. Technology is doing great, still the future. And I think the country is, even though COVID is kind of at its worst right now, I do think it's going to get rapidly better as soon as these vaccines come to market. So I do think I do think 2021 will be a much, much better year.
Chamath.
In this really crazy way, I actually now am pretty thankful for what I've learned during the pandemic. I mean, I wish we didn't have to go through it, but I think that it was the most psychologically stressful period of my life. Just to be so isolated from everybody. And I learned something about myself recently, which is that in psychology, it's called repetitive compulsion, which is sort of like, you repeat the sins of your father, or in this way, I repeat these tired ways of behavior from my teens and my 20s that were just unproductive. And in the day-to-day life of just running around and going to meetings, as David said, like flying around, go to a meeting, go to the office, go here, go there, you can make a lot of excuses for shitty behaviors that you carry with you. And so what I'm really thankful for is in this lockdown, I've been forced to really find the things that I don't really like about myself and try to fix them. I'm really thankful for that, because I think hopefully everybody has something positive to look at the end of this, and that's definitely one thing for me.
It's very touching and actually quite appropriate as we wrap here, because Sax and Friedberg and I had some things we don't like about you, Chamath, that we wanted to bring up. so you kind of knocked one off the list already, so we've only got 4 more to go.
It's good you're doing this work.
It's good. we were planning an intervention for this end of the pod, but you got to open the door. So here we go. I'll wrap up with just saying, family and friends are the obvious, things that you appreciate at this time. I am thankful also for the hope that we've seen from, what we can do collectively as a society. When we put our minds to something, Warp Speed comes to mind. These frontline workers. I mean, we really maybe have seen what a global, a challenging problem being solved can do, and hopefully that can translate into something like nuclear disarmament, sustainable energy, global warming, etc. And so I think on a macro level, the most macro level is the species. Us humans as a species have now had an enlightening moment. Just like world wars and Hiroshima and Nagasaki kind of changed people's perspective of the entire world. Jade and I were talking about that the other day, how people looked at the world differently after those horrific bombs went off. I think after this bomb goes off, we're going to look at the world and say, hey, we can solve problems, right? And maybe we can be proactive about that. And then finally, I think for the people suffering from mental illness, who maybe I was callous and made fun of, or maybe just didn't relate to, I can relate to now because I have felt depressed. I have felt anxious. I have felt exhausted from this, right? And it's the first time in the 49 years I've been on the planet that I ever would say I felt depressed. I didn't understand what that meaning was when Sachs would tell me how depressed he was. It never hit me. I'm joking. He never said that, but it's a good joke. I am joking. But I think for people suffering from mental illness, get help and talk to people. And I think this really opened my eyes to that. And of course, this podcast, and our
this
friendship.
This podcast was the best thing that one of the best things in my life that came out of this whole period.
I think for me too. And I've heard that from a lot of the people who listen to it. And I'm sure if Sachs and Friedberg had a fourth emotion, they would agree with us.
Frankly, I think this podcast has been doing nothing but costing me money. Because
I painted you as a Trump supporter.
God knows how many deals I've lost.
You are not a Trump supporter.
Yeah, God knows how many deals I've lost because Jason keeps trolling me as a Trump supporter. And then on top of it, I get cut out of the only good bestie deal.
If you would...
I thought at least I would get this bestie deal. And you guys cut me out of it.